What is the real story of the 4th of July? I'm John Deere, and today we're talking about the 4th of July. The real story of the 4th of July starts in 1774, more than 2 years before the signing of the Declaration of Independence. By 1774, Americans had grown increasingly sick of taxation without representation. They were not upset at the idea of paying taxes, but at having to pay taxes without any say in the matter. The most radical among them, farmers, tradesmen, and many common people, began campaigns of violence against the British. In New England, locals organized into an informal army of 20,000 men. They policed neighborhoods and used violence to drive imperial British officials from office. All of this happened before the First Continental Congress convened in September of 1774. To get a good picture of what was going on, it's important to realize that by this time, the colonies were major ports doing substantial business with the British. In the midst of all this commerce, radicals took up violence to try to overthrow the British. They were not the grand war heroes we celebrate today, but everyday people. People like Samuel Thompson, a tavern owner who organized a militia in Maine. Thompson and his militia attempted to attack a British warship and take control of it. They were about as likely then as modern insurgents would be to take control of a U.S. warship today. Nevertheless, Thompson said he would rather die trying than live in oppression. It was a bold act of violence. Then in 1775, the American Revolution got properly underway. That only furthered the radical acts of the colonists. When delegates assembled for the Second Continental Congress, there was great debate over whether to declare independence from England. A number of colonies did not agree. The Congress, which had no authority over them, issued a preamble authored by John Adams declaring that any colony that did not agree to independence should have its government overthrown and a revolutionary government put into power. Now we come to the part about the 4th of July. In early 1776, the Continental Congress tabled a resolution to declare independence from Britain. They appointed Thomas Jefferson to draft up a Declaration of Independence and scheduled consideration of it for later in the year. Finally, on July 2, 1776, the Continental Congress passed a resolution to declare independence. John Adams announced that July 2, 1776 would be the most famous day in American history. Unfortunately, the Congress did not actually sign the Declaration that day. They only agreed to sign it. Instead, they tinkered with Jefferson's Declaration of Independence for 2 more days until July 4, 1776, when at least Jefferson claims to have signed it. Most historians think it was merely approved on July 4th and wasn't actually signed until August 2nd, 1776. Maybe we should be celebrating that day instead. But that's not the end of the story. The Declaration of Independence kept the colonists happy during the American Revolution, but little did they know that Jefferson had baked into the Declaration of Independence a controversy that still lives with us today. It's these words: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." It turns out that then, like today, not everyone agrees with those words or agrees on what they mean. It was one thing to sign a Declaration of Independence to announce they wanted to get rid of the British. It's quite another to govern a country under those principles. By 1790, the Declaration of Independence was a very controversial document. Americans were divided along partisan lines, with Washington and Adams representing conservative Federalists who believed strongly in states' rights, not individual rights, and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison representing the Democratic Republicans, liberals who believed strongly in individual rights. They believed the nation was founded on all men being free and equal. By the early 1800s, Jefferson was vilified by the right, who said he was a snake in the grass, while the left gave grandiose speeches elaborating on his greatness. The deep divisions in America were much along the same lines they are today. And through it all, John Adams refused to celebrate the 4th of July. He steadfastly insisted that July 2nd should be the national holiday and not July 4th. So next time you get sick of the partisanship in American politics, remember it has been thus since the beginning of our country, and somehow we've muddled through so far. And that's the real story of the 4th of July. If you like this episode, please subscribe. That's what keeps us alive. You can also check out our wonderful blog at Wow Now I Know. I'm John Deere for Wow Now I Know, and as always, thanks for watching.